I'm Burl Finkelstein from Noonan, Georgia. This is Matt Butler from Macon, Georgia. And we built this big V2. The project started out as actually the whole story, Matt and I went to take our CDL test to get our truck driving licenses to drive the fireworks truck. And on the way back from the site where we took the test, I asked Matt if he wanted to go and look at a surplus store, and we went by there. And I've been passing this place for years, and they have racks of big drop tanks, helicopter drop tanks outside. And I showed them to Matt. Matt took one look at it and said, we need to make that into a V2. It took some convincing to have him finally talk me into building it, because it was going to be a joint project and ended up taking up my whole garage, both sides of my garage, for about 8 months. It's finally ready to fly. It weighs about 450 pounds loaded. It'll fly on 2 M2400s and 1 O5400 experimental motor. The outboard's Aerotech motors. It's carrying 3 28-foot C9 chutes in a 12-inch chute gun. It's a piston deployment. It'll have a 14-foot drogue at apogee. It's using 2 MissileWorks mini altimeters. Our big concern is, first big concern, is all the motors light off the pad, because it needs them all to get off. And since the M's are 500 pounds thrust each, that much differential thrust is going to put it in a vector. So we're doing all we can to get it to light. We're using boron potassium nitrate igniter pellets, big huge ones we made up, lighting them with electric matches. And to further ensure that we get a light off, we've painted the inside core of each grain with black powder and nitrocellulose lacquer, so something will light when it lights off. Of course, we had to build a big, huge pad for this. We have a big tripod pad we built that weighs about 250 pounds, and that's carrying a 16-foot aluminum I-beam with 20 feet of unistrut on it. The rocket will also be carrying a camera of our camera and some cameras for Rockets Magazine. You want to say anything, Matt?
I think that sums it up.
Well, what about the construction of the tube itself and the fins that you put in? Where'd you put the centering rings and the motor mount and all that good stuff, and how did you attach it to the frame itself?
The airframe came as one big tank. It was a drop tank. It had some structure in it where these hard points are. It had a big ring inside and some baffles and tubing. It was quite a job. We ended up having to cut it apart with carbide saws because it's a fiberglass honeycomb. There's 2 centering rings here. The rings are all 3/4, I think it's 11 ply birch plywood. It's coupled with a piece of 16-inch tubing. There's a 16-inch socket about this deep down to the camera bay in here. And then there's a 16-inch tube that goes up to about that opening on the top that fits inside it. It's cut down to fit inside it. That's the center coupler. On the bulkhead on that, there's a centering at the end of that tube, and then there's the bulkhead, and that carries a chute gun, which is a 56-inch piece of 12-inch tubing that has a piston in it to push the chute out. The fins are 3/4 plywood too. The rocket has almost 2.5 sheets of plywood in it for making it. We have two sheets we bought, and then it'll be about 1/4 sheet and some odds and ends we used to finish it out for the other rings and bulkheads. The fins alone are 60 pounds of wood. We wanted strong fins because we wanted to try and fly the rocket again. If it survives this flight, we will fly it again, probably on a larger motor stack, maybe 2 ends in the O. And if it survives that, we're planning to make a new nose cone for it and try and fly it as a bumper whack, 2-stage with an air start on the whack corporal on the top. The inner tubes are cardboard. It's all epoxied together, fairly conventional construction, and the flight will be conventional dual deploy. It'll come apart at apogee and a 14-foot drogue, and the mains should come out at, we have the set at 1500 and the backup at 14. As I mentioned, the 3 28-foot mains. It will safely land on 2. We put 3 in just for a soft landing, and instead of putting in nose cone weight.
Okay, anything else?
We hope it comes on the grass. We'd hate to have to carry this out of the woods.
You want to explain how we did the rails?
The guides?
Yeah.
The lugs for this, the launch lugs, we were really concerned that if we use the conventional round launch lug, the flanges may pull off when we're loading it on the rail if somebody puts the weight on it. So we've made rectangular launch lugs. This one is a rectangular lug. It's held in by a 1/2-inch bolt going into a block of wood. The others are 1/2-inch bolts turned down to 3/8, screwed in about 3 inches into each of the 2 centering rings.
Okay, next up.
And it's going up as
Put it on the rail yet?
we've had it on the rail at home,
Okay.
and it does slide on the rail.
Have you made it vertical on the rail yet, or on the pad?
Yes, we've had it vertical on the rail at home.
Figured out how to get it up there then.
The Iwo Jima method.
All right, that'll work.
We'll have some ropes on it, people will push and pull, and we'll get it up.
Now, you gonna leave it standing up tonight?
We'll lay it back down tonight.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure you had aircraft lights on the top of it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.